You step onto the grass. The roar of 90,000 people crashes over you like a wave. A small white ball sits at your feet, perfectly still, and for some reason the entire planet is holding its breath. This is the World Cup final. Now picture the player standing next to you. He was not born in this century. He was born 300,000 years ago. He has never seen a stadium. He does not know what a nation is. He would have no idea why thousands of people are screaming over a single ball when there is no food in sight and no predator on the horizon. To him, this whole thing would look insane. And yet, the second that whistle blows, he would do something that humbles every professional athlete on the field. Because your ancient ancestors were not weaker than you. In almost every way that matters on a football pitch, they were built better. Let's start with the most obvious thing a footballer does: running. A modern match lasts 90 minutes. An elite midfielder covers somewhere between 10 and 12 kilometers in that time, mostly jogging, broken up by sudden sprints. It is considered one of the most demanding endurance performances in all of professional sport. Your ancestors would have called it a warm-up. In 2004, two scientists named Dennis Bramble and Daniel Lieberman published a paper in the journal Nature with a quiet but explosive idea. They called it the endurance running hypothesis. The argument was simple. The human body is not built to be fast. A squirrel can outsprint you. A goat can outclimb you. But almost no animal on Earth can outlast you. You have springy tendons in your legs that store and release energy with every stride. You have a special ligament at the back of your skull, called the nuchal ligament, that keeps your head steady while you run. You have millions of sweat glands and almost no fur, which means you can cool yourself down while still moving, while a deer or an antelope has to stop and pant. Put all of that together, and you get an animal that can chase another animal until it literally collapses from overheating. Anthropologists have a name for this: persistence hunting. A researcher named Louis Liebenberg spent years in the Kalahari Desert documenting sand hunters doing exactly this. They would pick out a single antelope and simply follow it. For hours, under the midday sun, the animal would sprint away, then rest. Sprint away, then rest. But the human never stopped. Eventually, the animal overheated and could not take another step, and the hunter walked up and took it. So when you ask your ancient teammate to run for 90 minutes, he is not impressed. He has run down a full-grown kudu across 20 miles of open savanna in 40-degree heat. The match is a stroll, but running is only half of football. What about the throw-in? What about the goalkeeper hurling the ball the length of the field? What about the raw explosive power of the human arm? Here, the ancient human becomes terrifying. In 2013, a researcher named Neil Roach led a study, also published in Nature, on how humans evolved the ability to throw. And what he found is strange and beautiful. Your shoulder is not built like a normal joint. When you cock your arm back to throw, the tendons and ligaments stretch like the rubber of a slingshot, quietly storing elastic energy. Then they snap forward and release it all at once. It is the single fastest motion the human body can produce. A professional pitcher's arm rotates at speeds that would tear the limb apart if the bones were not shaped exactly to survive it. This ability did not evolve for sport. It evolved for hunting, for driving a sharpened spear through the ribs of a charging animal. Your ancestors threw to eat. They threw to live. A throw-in to them would be the gentlest possible use of a weapon their species spent 1,000,000 years perfecting. So now you have a teammate with limitless endurance and a slingshot for an arm. But surely a modern professional, with years of specialized training, a team of nutritionists, and an army of sports scientists, must still have the stronger body overall? This is where it gets uncomfortable. At the University of Cambridge, two researchers named Colin Shaw and Jay Stock scanned the leg bones of ancient human foragers and compared them to the bones of modern people, including trained athletes. Bone is living tissue. It grows thicker and stronger in response to stress, which means a skeleton is a permanent record of how hard a body worked while it was alive. What they found was humbling. The leg bones of prehistoric foragers were so dense, so reinforced, so strong, that they rivaled the leg bones of modern elite cross-country runners. Not the average gym goer, the athletes. And these ancient people were not training for anything. This was simply their ordinary life. Why? Because there was no other kind of life. Hermann Ponzer, a researcher who has spent years studying the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last hunting and gathering societies on Earth, measured how much they move in a single ordinary day. The answer is staggering. The average Hadza adult does more physical activity in one day than a typical person in a wealthy country does in an entire week. They are not exercising. There is no word for exercise. They are simply living. And living means walking, digging, climbing, carrying, and running, from sunrise to sunset, every day, for an entire lifetime. So let's reconstruct what would actually happen on that field. The whistle blows. Your ancient teammate does not understand the rules, so for the first few minutes he just watches. He sees 22 people running, coordinating, reading each other's movements, anticipating, signaling without speaking. And slowly, a look of recognition crosses his face. Because he has done this before. Not with a ball, with a hunt. The coordinated movement, the silent communication, the way a group flows around a single target, the explosive burst of speed at exactly the right moment. This is the most ancient game in the world. His ancestors played it for 2 million years against mammoths and aurochs and giant deer. The only thing that has changed is the prey. Now the prey is a small white ball, and instead of meat, the reward is a roar from a crowd. He picks it up almost instantly. He runs without tiring while professionals double over, gasping, hands on their knees. His sudden bursts of speed come from a body that has never once known a chair. When he throws the ball back into play, it travels farther than most players can kick it. And the crowd, 90,000 strong, goes completely silent because they have never seen anything quite like him. Here is the twist that should stop you in your tracks. We tend to think of professional athletes as the peak of human physical ability, the strongest, fastest, most capable bodies our species can produce. But by the measures locked inside ancient bone, an ordinary hunter-gatherer, a person with no coach, no gym, no protein shake, no training plan at all, may have been more physically capable than the elite athletes we pay millions to watch today. The World Cup is not a display of how far the human body has advanced. It is a faint echo of what the human body used to do every single day. Agriculture changed all of it. When humans settled down to farm, around 12,000 years ago, the daily marathon ended. The bones grew thinner. The bodies grew softer. We traded a life of relentless movement for a life of stored grain, and eventually for a life of chairs, screens, and stillness. We gained civilization. We slowly lost the thing that had made us physically extraordinary. And that is the strange truth hiding inside a football match. Every time you watch a player sprint down the wing, you are watching a persistence hunter chasing prey across the savannah. Every time a goalkeeper launches the ball downfield, you are watching the slingshot shoulder your ancestors used to bring down enormous animals. Every coordinated attack, every silent glance between teammates, is a hunt that has simply forgotten it was ever a hunt. Your body still carries all of it. The springy arch in your foot, the ligament that steadies your head, the millions of sweat glands, the slingshot shoulder. You were born with the same equipment your ancestors used to outrun antelope and outthrow death itself. You are, by birth, an elite endurance athlete who happens to spend most of the day sitting down. So the next time you watch the World Cup, look a little closer. You are not watching a modern invention at all. You are watching the oldest game your species has ever played, dressed up in jerseys and floodlights and the roar of a crowd. You step onto the grass. 90,000 voices roar around you. A small white ball sits at your feet, and somewhere deep inside your body, 300,000 years old, something stirs and remembers exactly what to do.